Everyone, welcome. Andrew, Philip, Sirius Brothers. We are going to be talking about lease renewals. This is the second most important thing when it comes to property management. The most important is who you put into your properties. The second most important thing is making sure that they stay. Because if they leave early, you're not going to get paid very much.
You got to keep the good residents that you bring in.
Yes.
And if you keep good residents, you're going to have more money, which is because of you getting more renewals, not problems. But
yes, exactly.
There are a lot of problems in property management. But why is it so important? I mean, there's a ton of reasons. It's the most expensive thing is resident turnover and move-outs. You have
Which
vacancy.
is why screening is so important in the first place, because if you get bad residents, then you're going to have more move-outs, more delinquency, more evictions, etc. So it's all kind of comes in. Property management, get people in and they have them pay. So it's like,
you screen for the good residents, and then how well you did is going to be shown on how many renewals you get. And I mean, just vacancy, you're going to have, at least a day of vacancy, if not more. You have to find a new resident every time. That's a lot of work and energy.
You have a property management company, or if you're hiring a third-party leasing company, which is common, they charge the first month's rent almost every time. So that's right off the bat. Plus, you have 2 weeks, a month, 2 months of vacancy. We've seen it go longer. We've had it go longer.
Even if it's just a week, that's a significant amount of money. Also, you might think someone living there, they're going to do damage over time, and it's not different if it's one person doing damage over time or one person over 3 years doing damage over time. But all those residents aren't created equal. Some residents will do more damage than others. Also, you're going to be fixing similar things over and over again, fixing lots of blinds.
If you have people doing the same amount of damage for and you have 3 move-outs, and those 3 people did the same amount of damage at the same pace, that will be more money in repairs than if one person lives there for 3 years doing the same damage at that pace. Because of the little things.
Blinds, cleaning, having to do carpet cleaning after every move out.
You gotta do cleaning every time.
Yeah, there's a lot of little charges of fixes and cleaning and stuff you have to do regardless of how good the resident is, and having a process deposit. There's just so much work involved. You want to prevent that as much as possible. And the real thing you want to do is be a good landlord. Yeah. How do you do that? How do you be a good landlord? You do maintenance really well is the biggest thing.
Quality PECs, our video from before, maintenance, it's in the description down here in this region. So you get quality, professionalism, setting, expectations is the E, then you got the communication and speed. So those things, we can't go into that now. We don't have time.
But that's the biggest thing. Lease renewal is really going to be, kind of your report card from your previous year, how well you did. But there's other things you can do well. Good customer service.
I think maintenance is your main thing with customer service. Maybe they don't have a lot of maintenance, so you don't have a lot of opportunities. Usually they'll be happy in that case. But if you do a good job doing maintenance, you're proving yourself to them. If you're quick in responding to their questions, let's say they, for some reason, can't get the rent into the third and not sure if that's late. They can't remember if you answer quickly, even though they should be able to look that up in their lease. Those kind of things go a long way. Some property management companies have done sort of do gimmicky things. I live in a condominium complex, and our HOA before the pandemic had these monthly barbecues. Or you can do everyone who, we've thought about this idea, everyone who pays their rent on time gets put into a raffle, and we give away some gift, just to constantly be communicating with them and letting them know, sending them out coupons or whatever. I don't think that does a ton of things, I don't think there's a ton of engagement, Facebook, but some property managers do it. I'm sure others would disagree with us, and so I wouldn't be against any of those things, but I don't think they're the main thing.
No, and there's a lot of opportunity with lease renewals, raising rents, should you go month to month versus extra years. We'll get into that, but the biggest thing to take away from this is don't just leave it up to chance.
No.
Get creative about it. Pursue signatures on lease renewals and getting those done. A great place to get started is this book right here. Jeffrey Taylor.
Mr. Landlord.
Yeah, the Landlord Survival Guide. It's a really great resource. There'll be a link down below if you want to check out that book. It's a really great start to get you thinking about ways to get creative.
I think a lot of property managers, you just do the job. It's it's always the same. He's actually looked at this creatively and taken a lot of concepts from the hospitality industry and hotels and brought them into property management. But I think generally just the key point is maintenance throughout the lease, good communication throughout the lease. Those are the key things throughout it. The other little bells and whistles are fine, but those are the key things throughout it. Then the big point is basically pursuing that lease. And you don't need to just do it at the end. We do it in the middle, right?
Yeah, one of the big things we do is for really good residents, partway through their lease, we'll give them the option to extend it for another year before lease renewal options even come up, because we don't even want them to think about moving out if they're
we'll
really
give them
residents.
like either a small increase or none or something like that.
We'll say we'll lock in your price, or we'll lock in this price today because you're a good resident. We don't offer that to poor residents, because that's another thing.
By the way, this is whether they're paying on time and not being
yeah, correct. If they're causing huge hassles for us, almost getting evicted all the time,
we don't.
It's a good place to increase the quality of your overall tenant base lease renewal time, of not offering renewals to residents who are difficult. But the good ones you want to keep. We also offer gift cards. So right when the renewal letters come out and they see their prices, we offer them gift cards if they renew it really quickly, to get that signature down.
Give them a little bit of a time sensitive nature to it. And we always ask on our applications what their favorite restaurant is amongst several, so we give them a gift card to their favorite restaurant. We also do that if a maintenance issue goes sideways or something like that. It's like, oh, we were thinking about you. Here's a gift card to your favorite restaurant. A lot of people do renewal gifts and stuff, and we think it's really good to try to learn throughout the lease what might cause someone to move out once that time comes. Figure out what the problem is. If they hate their appliances and you learn that after a couple of months, you go, okay, you do another renewal, here's a new stove for you. That's a $500 stove, over $1,000 turnover. Exit interviews are very common with employees, figuring out what they thought was good, bad, not, what was the deal with the property or with their job. It's exit interviews, or at least exit surveys with residents is a good idea. A lot of times they're buying a home, they're moving out of state. It is what it is.
Can't do a lot about those.
Can't do a lot about that. But if they're moving out,
as many as you can.
And if you're figuring out there's a trend, maybe your receptionist is extremely rude, or something like that. And we've had situations like that in the past. And that's good to know. Yes. They're not going to go around the receptionist, the owner, all the time. Occasionally they'll try, but usually they won't. So getting that information, doing exit surveys or exit interviews, or at least exit surveys, and getting as much information from them as you can is a good idea.
Now, should you go for month-to-month leases or year leases? A lot of people just, after the first year lease, they just don't even do anything and just let it go month to month. I don't really like this plan for a couple of reasons.
No me gusta.
One, it makes it really hard to raise rents in the future, which is something that I think you should generally be doing, even if it's by a minimal amount.
Getting used to it.
Yeah, so that you don't fall so far behind. A lot of properties we end up taking on are properties they never raised rent for 6 years.
Almost every property we buy that has an inherited resident is under market rent. And that's one of the reasons they're selling them to us.
Nobody will pay market value for the property because it's rented for low, a lot of deferred maintenance because they've lived there for so long, and there's a lot of issues. So you want to...
So we put a premium. If you want to rent month to month, you've got to pay a premium. What's our normal premium?
It's between $75 and $200 depending on what their rent price is.
We don't mess around with month to month.
Well, it's a good service for people to have that. It gives you a yearly cycle to raise rents and make it consistent. Also, when you first sign a lease with someone, do this. Tell them, in a year, we're going to tell you to renew your lease. Tell them your rent will probably go up between $5 and $25.
Just like with maintenance or an emergency maintenance, we're not going to come out to fix a doorknob at 2 a.m. Set the expectations during your lease signing. Their rent will probably go up at least a bit.
People are usually mad about rents going up because they didn't expect it, not because the price is actually going up.
Now, you can also, just like you can lock somebody in early, like 6 months into a 1 year lease, you can also give them a 2 year lease. Like say, if they're a really good resident, hey, we'll give you a slight discount or lock in at a lower price than you would have otherwise get if you go for a 2 year lease or something like that. So that's another option you should consider.
Just think of this as a business problem and do not lose out on any potential renewal of a quality resident that you aren't losing for job loss or relocation,
or buying a home,
or something like that you could have otherwise kept. That is so critical.
Some ideas from this book that are definitely, and this is definitely worth reading, that are bringing those hospitality ideas. And he has a 3-star program where if you get in each year, you kind of move up his ladder. Now, like you're in the program, and then you become go from silver to platinum or whatever. I don't remember exact steps, but you get $100 off of your deposit each year, and they get that return to you. And if after you've stayed for 6 years, or the number depends on the level of deposit, but after you stay for 6 years, he'll return your entire deposit to you, so you don't even have to worry about that. And yes, you will take a bit of a hit when they eventually move out, but 6 years uninterrupted. I think the industry standard is 2.5 years per stay, right? So if you're getting 6 years, which is his average, That's going to save you a lot of money in less vacancy, less turnover costs, less leasing costs, etc. So getting people in a program like that, returning part of their, basically like what he likes to do is give people bonuses for re-signing up, especially bonuses that don't cost you a ton, like returning
or
part
things
of
you're going to do that already improve the property.
Yeah, he likes he calls it anniversaries instead of renewals. That's a little cheesy for me. That's probably up your alley.
Maybe.
I mean, yeah, but. He always wants to improve the property. So put money, give them something that is improving your own property.
Add a ceiling fan to a room, clean the carpets, a new appliance.
Door, one of those screen door, an accent wall. I mean, you can do that if you want to.
So our goal is 5 year of tenancy on average, which is about a 80% renewal rate. But even if we get someone who decides to move out and gives us a notice to vacate, don't give up at that point. The first thing is you can always still try to work with that person to sign a new lease after they give a notice, especially if they're a good resident. You could try to pre-lease it too if you want to do that way and try to get it leased.
Yeah, I think that's one point. I mean, I think a couple points, like working with them in that regard, like you can ask them if it's okay for you to show the property while they're there. Or we've done things where we've asked people, hey, if you can move out early, we'll give you $10 a day or something like that. Just cash. I mean, they got to pay their whole lease, so we're not paying. It's not vacancy. It's a little bit less. That gets us the property back earlier, where we can do the turnover and then get it on the market sooner. Also, if they've had a good stay, if they're buying a house, they've had a good time. Like, ask them to give you a review on Google and Facebook.
If anybody wants to move into the house.
Always be asking for good reviews, both at lease renewals and if they're moving out. If the person's satisfied, because generally with property management companies, it's only the angry people who want to give you renewals.
But stay connected to them throughout that entire move-out process. We've had people who were going to move out just because they thought they had to at the end of the lease. And then we call them, 2 weeks before they're about to move. And they go, "Oh, I thought I had to move." And they're like, "No.
Please stay.
Yeah, you can. You've been a great resident. Sign for another year. That's fine." So communicate with them. Understand why they're leaving. See if you can remedy that, and if it's worth it. Just get creative. And this is a part of the business to work at.
First you're trying to get them to stay. Then if they're leaving, you're still trying to get them to stay. But if they're leaving for sure, then you're at least trying to get them to either help you get so you can get it rented earlier by showing the property while they're there, or having them move out a week early or something like that. If that works for them, hey, why not get $70 in their pocket and they can move out a little early, and at least getting those precious Google and Facebook reviews.
And more important than Google and Facebook reviews
are YouTube reviews for us,
which is kind of like a lease renewal. Or the subscribe button is like a lease renewal for YouTube videos.
I think what it is you need to binge watch us. Basically like a Netflix series like Breaking Bad or something. Just go straight all 25
get
videos.
Get some popcorn,
we have.
Get some drinks, watch some Serious Brothers real estate YouTube videos.
I know there's not a lot of
a little romantic.
We don't do the quick cuts, every 2.3 seconds to keep the Adderall riddled minds of our youth occupied. But we have good information, I think.
Yes.
Maybe.
But hit the subscribe button. It's like a lease renewal for real estate content. Put the like button. That shows us we're doing the right thing. Put some comments if you have any questions about how to do this, what you want to know about, anything like that. And we'll see you guys on the next one.